We are a couple, and we're planning on staying together for the rest of our lives. In my opinion, we are married. That's my life. Tony's my life.
It seems all too familiar. Will the story end the same as before? Will it ever stop? When will they come home?
You don't know what it's like to sit around waiting for people to decide to give you equality. It's maddening. It's maddening. Yeah.
I mean, that's, people say, gay and lesbian shouldn't be able to marry, We're so committed. I mean, there's so many gay and lesbian couples out there who are committed to each other. I mean, a lot of straight couples are not that committed.
I think 90% of straight couples wouldn't have gone through most of what we've gone through. 90% of couples, not just straight, 90% of couples, gay or straight. Like, it's a lot of challenge.
I mean, if we had known 16 and a half years ago when we met how this would play out, I mean, we think about it. We think about
it a lot.
Would we have stayed in the relationship? Because there was one point after we met, and then we traveled for a year and a half in Africa, and then we sat down. It was in Namibia. One day we sat down. It was just a month before the trip ended. We said, "What are we going to do? Are we going to stay together? Because it's going to be a long fight. Possibly. We didn't know at the time. But of course, we never dreamed it would be 16 or 17 years.
Americans can marry foreign nationals and bring them into the United States as long as you are opposite sex. They can go off and meet somebody and a day later marry them and come back to the United States, and that's no problem. But after 16 and a half years, I can't do that. That's the outrage.
Right.
I mean, I'm American. I should be able to live in my country, in my own country, with my partner.
When we tell people we're a binational couple, and we tell them what kind of legal problems we have, with living in each other's countries, everyone is surprised.
Yeah,
I mean, no one ever thinks about that because, you can normally marry someone from a different country and it's not a problem. But of course, no one ever thinks about what if a gay person or a lesbian person meets someone from a different country. How does it affect them? And it affects them in a big way, and no one ever knows that. Just because one state has marriage, that does not mean we can go there, get married, and immigrate to the United States, because marriage in that state is not federally recognized, and immigration is a federal law. So we cannot go to the state, get married, and immigrate. It's not going to work that way.
People can go out, they can buy a wife on the internet and bring them into the United States. If you don't know that, you should. You can go out and buy a wife on the internet. Or a husband, to be politically correct. You can buy one on the internet and bring them into the country legally. I've been with my partner for now 16 and a half years, and there is no legal way for me to bring him into the United States. So our entire life has been spent trying to stay together.
I'm here on a student visa, and when I first came here in 98 or 97 actually, we decided I would enroll in a college so I could stay here on a student visa. This is my 7th semester, and after the semester I'll hopefully will get my AS in chemistry.
Thomas is constantly studying, so there really isn't a whole lot of time for free activities. He's basically in here every night and every weekend.
And we decided to drag it out as long as possible so I can stay here. That's why it's taking me so long. I'm getting ready for school.
Do you have any tests today?
Not today, but when I come home tonight, I have to study some more because I have a test on Friday.
What is it in?
Chemistry exam. It's about propagation of error, and it's about gas chromatography and stuff like that. So I'm not looking forward to that.
Thomas actually was originally trained to be a banker. He was actually in international exchange before he moved to the United States. But that's been very difficult. He's had to give up his career.
Our life is affected by financial constraints due to the fact that I can't work and that we have to live off one salary. Tony is working really hard. He has one job teaching English as a second language. He has another job when he comes home working on his webpage, which brings in some money, but it doesn't supply enough support for us to just live a comfortable life.
For 5 years, he's been paying out-of-state tuition, and that's 11 times as expensive as a California resident.
So a lot of things people do, go to movies, buy new clothes, buy new furniture, we can't do. A lot of our furniture were given to us by Tony's mom. We have stopped going to movies because it's become too expensive. We watch videos, that's all we do. No, that's not all we do. That's instead of going to the movies, we watch videos. We don't go to concerts. We don't go to any live shows because it's just gotten too expensive for us. Let me see what he's reading. This is looks like Chinese, even though it looks Greek to me. Can you read something to me?
Stop the film. This is awful. We're having a power struggle right now. Like, during the filming, we're having a power struggle. What do you want me to do?
Tell me something about you.
I'm manipulative and awful.
That's right. Say that in Chinese, since you're studying Chinese.
I don't know how to say manipulative in Chinese. I haven't learned that yet. That's in the next chapter. The next chapter called Awful German Boyfriends. It's chapter 2.
Take this time while you are still young. You must work hard but still have some fun. Keep in mind it's up to you, but you gotta keep it clean, keep on. Just piece it all together and you will move on. Open up your heart and you will be strong. Chase your wildest dreams before they're all gone. But you gotta keep it clean, keep on.
We knew when we first moved to the United States that his time here was limited, that our time here in the United States was limited. And we didn't know how long we were going to be able to stretch this out, but we were hoping for about 4 or 5 years, and we were hoping that within that time period that we would discover some other way to stay here legally.
My visa is not really running out, it's running out in 2005, but I'm required to transfer next year to a 4-year college. And that would require me to pay out-of-state tuition, which I don't have, which we both don't have, so the only option is to leave the country.
About 6 months ago, when it became apparent that Tony and Thomas were going to have to leave the country because of the expiration of Thomas's student visa, I don't even quite remember how it came up, but at one point we were talking and it was sort of jokingly said, well, if only Laurel and Thomas could get married, the whole thing would be taken care of. And I actually said, well, I'd be willing to do that. And I think they were both surprised, and I think they were both worried about me because they didn't feel that I knew what I was talking about or what, the implications of what I was saying. But I was quite serious. We talked about it semi-seriously for a while, maybe for a couple weeks. And I think one day in particular, Tony and Thomas and I got together and just seriously talked about the implications of Thomas and I getting married and the risks involved. Tony was by far the more cautious of the three of us, or the most cautious of the three of us. Thomas and I think, were both sort of, I don't know, we were kind of joking about it a lot and imagining, you know, the two of us being married and thinking that it would probably just be fine and kind of funny. But at the same time, the more we talked about it, the more we realized how difficult it would be to keep such a thing secret, because we actually wouldn't be able to tell anybody, our friends or family, that we were married. And it would be really, really hard. And it would also just be so odd and obvious somehow that Thomas was suddenly able to stay here and no explanation was given why. And probably the three of us would live together, and I don't know if that would complicate things or not. I think when we finally decided that it was too much of a risk, it was really Tony who said no, that he wasn't going to put me in that kind of jeopardy, or the two of them. So we finally decided to just stop talking about it, and that their best option was to go to Germany.
Just recently, Germany changed its laws where gay and lesbian Germans can actually bring in their foreign partners for immigration. That's just part of a law that was passed that makes a gay and lesbian partnership more equal to a heterosexual partnership.
A lot of people have referred to it as German gay marriage, but actually it is not really truly marriage in the sense of an equal institution that is parallel to heterosexual marriage. Germany has not legalized true gay marriage yet.
Another chapter has begun. Two hearts.
When we go back to Germany, it would actually allow me to get a green card for Tony, and he could live there and work there. We'll be more on an equal level, I feel like, going to be in Berlin, if we live in Berlin, because here Tony is the one working, he brings home the money, and I'm more in a role where I do the household chores, because I feel like I should be doing those, because he's working all day long, he comes home. So I feel like I should be doing things at home, cooking and cleaning and all of that. And I remember when we lived in Germany, Tony did all of those things. You were going shopping, you were doing the dishes, you were doing all of that. I was working full time, and I was bringing home the money. And so going to Berlin, living there, it will be once again more equal. And
Well, but this is the first time we're really equal. I mean, that's the interesting thing.
we don't really know.
Yeah, no, but I think what you brought up an interesting point, because the first time we lived in Germany, I was at a major disadvantage because legally I was not equal to a German either. And now that he lives in the United States, I mean, he's not equal to an American, so he doesn't have the same rights. He can't work, he can't do half the things that we can do. But now that Germany has changed their laws, for the first time, and really in 10 years, for the first time, we're actually going to be equal.
I wonder if we're going to just break up because we don't know what to do. It's like,
Like,
now
what do we do? Like, you know.
I need to talk to you, so please pick up the line. I need to see you. We've wasted so much precious time.
This will be our last year to be together for traditional holidays.
I mean, they're our best friends. Like we do everything with them, and it's like it's just going to be really sad because not only are we going to leave the country and we're going to leave our friends behind, but we're leaving our family, our friends, we're leaving everything, and we're gonna miss it so much. And you know, I don't even know what we're gonna do because half our free time is spent with them. So I don't know. It's gonna be, and especially the trips to the Southwest. I'm gonna miss that so much because that's like a yearly tradition, something we always do. It's really sad.
Since I don't have my family here, Free Kin have become my family in San Diego, and I really consider them family. If people say, "Oh, where are you going tonight?" And I tell them, "Oh, I'll go over to my family." And they're like, "Oh, you have family here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do actually have family here," and I just consider them my family, and it's going to be hard.
I feel it's very unfair for Tony and Thomas to have to leave, not because they want to, but because they have to.
I think at this point, I've resigned myself to feel that Tony and Thomas need to think of going to Berlin as a whole new opportunity for a whole new life.
It's just unfortunate that the law is just not right, and I hope that it would change soon so that they could come back whenever they wanted to. When we talk about human rights, whose human rights are you talking about? It should be applied equally to everyone. So that's how I feel about it. I don't like it, I don't agree with it, and I'm not going to accept it. So hopefully the law will change.
We're not going to accept it. When Tony and Thomas leave, the work there is going to continue. You know, Tony, his determination and his perseverance didn't just come by itself. I'm proud to say it came from me, and it's just started. It is not going away, and it's not stopping until things change here. We have Tony to thank for meeting each other, because Tony convinced me to go to Asia, travel to Asia, backpack through China, backpack through Thailand. At one point, Tony said, "Okay, Mom, you're strong enough to do it on your own now." And he said goodbye, and he left for Sumatra. And I was left alone in Thailand, and I made my way through Thailand, and en route to Malaysia, I met Kim.
Look at it. Not so long ago, even in some states, they don't even allow interracial marriages.
States in this country where Ken and I couldn't even be married. Our marriage would not have been legally acceptable. We would not have been able to live together as a couple.
If I, as a foreigner, can immigrate through marriage, then I feel that Thomas has the same right to as a gay couple.
It has been a challenge living in Germany. All the problems that we had in the United States really are solved. Those problems are solved. However, we have a new set of problems. We don't have to deal with any kind of immigration issues. I'm legal in Germany. I don't have to worry about being deported. It's Thomas's country, so he doesn't have to worry about that. So that's a weight off of our shoulders. Germany's a little bit, I don't want to say it's a disappointment. It's not a disappointment.
we had raised our expectations of how much Germany was going to change our lives, probably to a level that was unrealistic. I think we had made Germany, somehow I think we had made it the answer to all of our questions, which was setting us up a little bit for disappointment coming here.
I can see changes in Tony. I mean, when we first moved here, he was so depressed. There was a 2-week period where he could not sleep at night. He woke up.
That's true.
He went to bed at 10, woke up at 12, and he was awake until 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And you were by the end of the 2-week period, you were so exhausted.
I was exhausted.
You were in tears. You went to bed and you were like, I can't sleep again. And I couldn't sleep because I was so worried. We were awake all night long for a couple of weeks, and we were just.
That's true.
We were so exhausted, and you were anxious. You had so much anxiety in you.
Yeah. I don't even really know what it was all about. I guess it was just a massive amount of change all happening at one time. There was no decision to come back to Germany. It was just a necessity.
Right.
And that made it hard for me to leave. And I think it continues to be a real big issue for me, because if you don't choose to do something, if you're kind of forced into it, it gives you this kind of victim mentality, which is damaging. I just feel exhausted by life and how many places we've lived and how many times we've moved and how many people we've known and how many and interestingly, I don't really love Germany so much that I want to stay here. So it suggests that we're going to have to make another move back to the United States to get back to our old life, which kind of makes it pointless to be here, because it's kind of like we're building a life here just to leave it again when we finally can. I don't think I even realized what I had accomplished in the United States until I left it. It was fascinating to come here and be reduced to the level. I mean, I spoke like a child. I was reduced to the level of a child. I was trying to function in a job at that level. I had people completely dismissing my education because they didn't know what it meant. They didn't know what my degrees were. They didn't understand how that could be applied to various jobs. I was not really prepared to have this kind of refugee mentality when I got here, and having an enormous amount of what I had achieved in the United States just kind of stripped away and starting over. Really completely starting over. Times I feel like I'm 10 years old, but I'm 35, so it's psychologically that's a little bit difficult to deal with. Getting here to Germany, the first thing we had to do is we actually had to get our partnership. I didn't think a piece of paper would really make a difference. I mean, we've been together for at that point, over 10 years. And I thought, yeah, what do I care if this person gives me a piece of paper? 10 years. I was almost insulted that I had to go get the piece of paper, because it was like, how dare you make me get a piece of paper to prove that I've actually had a relationship, which I've already had for 10 years, Then walked in there and it was really funny. It was like we went in and this woman who we didn't even know filled out this paperwork, and it wasn't even really nice looking paper. It wasn't fancy like a certificate or anything. It was just stupid paper, filled in our names and asked us if we wanted to change one of our names. Do you want to take his name? And I was I almost started laughing, because I was like, take his name? Is that a choice? Can you do that? It was really a weird situation, and gosh. Obviously. Yeah, obviously the paper meant a lot. And some woman that I didn't even know putting the stamp on it. Obviously meant a lot. guess I didn't even realize how much it meant.
I continued my studies here in Germany. I started studying chemistry in the States and came here, and I transferred some of my credits to a German university. This was also like a big problem because they didn't acknowledge all of the credit. It takes about 6 semesters to get a bachelor's degree here. And they did acknowledge some of my credits from the States, but I still have to go through all the 6 semesters because I didn't do all of the courses you need for the first semester or for the second semester. So I have to go through everything again. I need at least until 2006 before I get my bachelor's degree. And that's how long we're planning on staying here, definitely. And then, you know, we would like to live in the States, and depending on the political situation, we would move. We always have the feeling of it's just for a certain time. We can't really settle down.
And it affects everything.
Yeah, I mean, we could settle down here, but we don't really want to. Plus, I'm 35, and age is a big thing in Germany. When I have my bachelor degree and I'm 35, no one's going to hire me. That's the big thing here in Germany. If I'm in the States, people don't really care about the age. They care about the experience, which is a good thing. But in Germany, they look at you and they say you're 35. I don't think so.
Yeah, I always think about this old movie. They had this movie Logan's Run in the late 70s where they took these, like, their life, like when you hit 30, they killed you. Like they took you into this,
that's how I feel in Germany.
They took you into this big dome,
honestly.
and you floated up in the air, and then you exploded in the air. And obviously, this was a movie about Germany.
Many years have passed you by. At times you laughed, at times you cried. Many changes came your way. Your love grew stronger day by day. Loving parents always there. Never a doubt, we'll always get.
Oh, this is all we have. This is our house.
This is all we have. This is more. This is too much than.
You know.
Far more than we should have, actually.
I know. I wish I had like half.
This is not. But it is hard to get rid of anything because we need our business stuff, and we have like our clothes. We have a tent. We have like
Medical bag, umbrella.
Huge thing of dirty laundry. That seems to be the thing I carry around most.
Mosquito net.
Extra toilet paper. That's something that we always need. Toiletries. Way too many toiletries.
Oh, you've got your moisturizer.
Books. I have a whole library in my backpack. Like, it's ridiculous how many books I'm carrying. This may be the weirdest thing we have.
My
whole
tent.
Yeah.
2-man turn.
Razor. Shaving your heads.
Flashlight. In a cup. This is our stove. You need to get a cartridge for that.
Yeah. It's hard to carry clothes because we have to carry clothes for cold environments or tropical countries. So it's like it's not so easy.
What else have we got?
That's pretty much it. We love getting to see the world, getting to meet new people, getting a sense of perspective that you get while traveling, and we get a lot of perspective every day. It's hard not to have a base, but actually we're kind of, as sad as it sounds, getting used to it.
Our website is called Contemporary Nomad, which is really a fitting name for us because we've become nomads, and we feel, at this point of our life, we feel quite comfortable moving around.
It's like we're surfing a wave of visas. Like, going from 1 2-month visa to a 1-month visa to it's kind of ironic because we're now embracing what we used to hate. You know, it's like, in a way, our life is a lot of paperwork and bureaucracy and stuff like that. But it's our choice. It's like we choose to enter into this, And in a way, that's liberating. It's liberating to know that we have some control over our lives. It's a strange control. It is maybe not ideal for everyone. For us, it's actually in some ways ideal. It's nice to leave the whole nation system.
Well, we're making the best out of it.
We're making the best out of it.
We see as much as we can while we're away from the United States or Germany, and no one can ever take that from us.
We earn income by doing our web work. One of the web projects is contemporarynomad.com, which is a travel blog. And so that's a lot of the work that we're doing right now.
It has always been a dream of the two of us to actually travel and try to earn a living doing that, doing what we love doing.
In 2007, we decided to leave Germany, and we actually decided to take our lives on the road rather than trying to live in a particular country. We flew to Hong Kong and traveled overland from Hong Kong through Macau, China, Tibet, to Nepal, and
where we hiked the Annapurna circuit, and we hiked to Everest Base Camp.
Yeah, we love trekking, so that was...
It was my favorite part, I think,
yeah.
of this trip.
Yeah, I think we probably could maybe even live there. I love Nepal. Yeah. That was very great. And then after that, we went to India. We were in India for about 15 months.
Yeah. That was very challenging.
That was a challenging period. That was fun, very rewarding.
But I think it was the most difficult country for me personally to travel in.
Yeah, it's a challenging country, but very interesting place. And we went to Sri Lanka after that.
Sri Lanka for a month, and then back to India. Then after that to Thailand. I have to think Thailand, then United States for a little bit.
Yeah, I went back to visit family for a little bit and friends, and after that we went back and we were in Thailand again, and then went to Myanmar. So we've been on the road for a long time.
And now we're in Cambodia.
Yeah, now we're in Cambodia. You know, when I was sitting there as a kid looking up at the posters on my wall, I knew I wanted to visit all these places. I knew I wanted to go to the pyramids, I wanted to go to Angkor Wat, I wanted to go to the Great Wall of China. There were all these things I wanted to see. I didn't really envision it in exile. It is always in the back of our mind that this is only half choice. Like there's a certain amount of being forced out of the country, and so everything that we see outside of the country, we have that in the back of our head. It's like, okay.
It's always kind of a shadow that hangs over us, I think.
I don't really know what a normal life is like. It's strange that we're both around 40 right now, and we have no vision of normal life at all. My normal life is not driving to work and worrying about my car payment or
But I guess that's what normal life.
A garden, and maybe I would like that. I don't know.
When I was 20, that's what I thought normal life was going to be like. I envisioned myself having a little apartment or house, preferably with a garden, and a partner. And I never thought that I was going to be moving around a lot. I wasn't made for that.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was not made.
I'm not
You're not
quick to change. I'm not quick to
like,
change, and every day I have to adjust to new things that come my way. And for me, it's especially hard, I think. I want to wake up in the morning, walk into the kitchen, have my coffee, and just start the day that.
Thomas's
start,
life would
start my day that way.
His life would be all about coffee if he could make it that.
And food.
And food, yeah.
Food too.
Well,
but
you get your food on the road. But
I know, but I'm more that person who needs a constant fixture in their life, which would be probably a house or an apartment or a place to live, and I don't have that.
The reality is, if you want to get old and you want to have some kind of security, you need a place to do it. And right now, Germany is not really the appropriate place to do that. It is easier than the United States, but it is not really perfect. The United States is not an option at all, really, for us right now. We would like it to be an option.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So many people always say, Thomas, why don't you just get a job in the States? But it's not that easy.
Very hard.
If you want to work in the States, you have to have an employer who sponsors you, and it's all, he has to pay for that.
It's a lot of red tape.
Yeah, and you have to, it's not that easy because you have to have a specific skill to be employed in the United States.
Despite what a lot of people seem to think, it is very difficult to enter the United States.
And just because you get a work visa doesn't mean you can stay. A work visa is only good for 3 years.
Right. We are giving away American green cards in a game. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's entered that lottery every single year and lost. Why? Because it's a lottery.
15 years in a row.
15 years in a row.
I've entered the lottery, and they give out about 55,000 green cards a year.
55,000.
Through a lottery system.
Right. So we're giving these away in games, but we can't give them away to people who need them to survive. While we were in India, we actually called home to the United States, and my mom's husband Ken picked up the phone and said, "Oh my God, we're rushing to the hospital. We have to go to the hospital. The ambulance is here." We had no idea what was going on. The ambulance was literally picking my mom up and taking her to the hospital at that moment. It was the most terrifying thing, and they rushed out, and that was it. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why she had been picked up even. It was terrifying. And so I was sitting in an internet cafe in Chennai. Was it Chennai, I think, wasn't it? In southern India. And I'm using Google to try to find all the hospitals and stuff, and in San Diego trying to call around. And
you eventually found the emergency room where your mom was.
I did. It was
and you
amazing.
got her on the phone.
Got her on the phone and found out she was okay. Well, it was scary because I called one hospital, and because of miscommunication, I for a moment thought that my mom had passed away. It was terrifying. It was the most just horrifically scary thing. And then I was kind of put through to another hospital, and there I realized she was still alive, and I just almost broke down. It was just terrifying.
You said,
I did broke down.
We were in these little cubicles in the internet cafe, and all of a sudden I heard Tony say, "Thomas, come over, I have to tell you something." And I went over and he started crying.
I just started crying because I found out she was alive.
And then I thought your mom was dead.
Yeah,
I mean, I was just, we were both like
it was
crying.
It was so wonderful that she was okay, but it was a terrifying experience.
The reason why we went back was because Tony's grandma was sick and he needed to go home to help his mom. And unfortunately, again, I was there on a visitor's visa, and I couldn't stay longer. We only had a certain amount of time, and at the end of the time, we knew we wanted to stay longer because the problem wasn't solved at that point. But we had to leave because of my visa.
Yeah.
Same situation as always.
We got an email telling me that my grandmother had terminal cancer, and this is a pretty shocking thing to hear, especially while we were out on the road. You know, the whole time we had Thomas's tourist visa hanging over our head. We did not have unlimited time in the United States. We knew there's an end date, and that end date was not enough. We needed to stay longer.
But we had to leave at that point.
I mean, imagine that your family needs you, and ridiculous laws prevent you from helping them. It's agonizing.
And that's the problem. As our parents and grandparents age, we need to be able to go back, see them, take care of them. We have to be flexible in our, I can't have a time limit.
We constantly face a future where we are going to be confronting these kind of problems. It's like, how are we going to economically survive? How are you going to take care of your family? How are you going to, unending questions that we've had for 16 years, more than 16 years, and we have no end in sight.
Initially, in 1993, I said, don't worry, things will be fine. We're going to work this out. This is America. There's just no way that this isn't going to work out for you guys. We're going to move forward, and don't worry about it. It's America. Everybody has their equal rights here. It'll be fine. And we forged forward. Thomas and I attended different meetings trying to get sponsorship to form an organization here in San Diego. Finally got funding for the organization. For equal rights for the GLBT community. And Tony and Thomas worked for years on that program. We worked with the PFLAG. We worked with Human Rights Campaign, Equality California. I met with the governor's office. I met with the congresswoman's office here in San Diego. Met with the senator's office. And come to find out, nothing was going to change. Just terrible, missing Tony and Thomas so deeply. We always were together every Thursday night for dinner and to watch Survivor together.
Yes, that's one of our favorite shows. We get to hang out together and watch, and it was really exciting to be together.
We'd have a big dinner together. They would cook one time, we would cook the next time. They're great cooks. We spent our weekends together. We hiked together. We spent our vacations together. Going through the Southwest at Thanksgiving time. We would always go through the Southwest visiting different Indian reservations. At one point we lived together for 2 years. And when we moved here after having lived with Tony and Thomas for 2 years, it was so silent in the house that it was hard to be without them, even though they still lived here in San Diego at the time. I'm the only child, and I have Tony as an only child. And of course now I have Thomas as my second son. And we're a unit. Yeah. We're a unit, we're a family. It's tough.
This is our life you're talking about here.
This is our life as a family unit that we've lost. We've lost it.
I think one of the most difficult challenges in everything, since we started, like since we got together, is not knowing what's going to happen in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. The constant fear of where are we going to be? Like, what is going to happen to us? And psychologically, that is really, really hard. It's like we're fugitives or refugees or something like that. I mean, it's insane. I shouldn't be forced to alter my entire existence, to give up education, to give up career opportunities, to have to radically alter my entire life because someone out there doesn't feel comfortable with my relationship. I don't care if you feel comfortable with my relationship or not. Nobody should care whether you feel comfortable with my relationship or not. It's not anybody's right to say, oh, I don't like you, so therefore you have to leave the country. It's not your right to do that. I'm American. I have the right to live in my country, just like everyone else. What is our Constitution for? Does it say, yeah, you have the freedom to kick people you don't like out of the country? Oh, minorities have rights unless we actually really, really don't like them. Then you can kick them out. Then you can persecute them.
It's
ridiculous.
Basic rights. We want to live in the United States. We want to, I want to be with him, with my partner. I mean, it should be just a basic.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, we'll wait for 10 years. We wait 10 years. No, we'll wait for 15 years. And we'll wait for 15 years. And of course, now we're like, oh, we'll wait for 20 years. Yeah. 20 years. But then there's what do you do? Like, what do you do if you get to the end of the 10 or 15 or 20 years and nothing has changed? What do you do? Do you break up? It seems stupid, doesn't it? I mean, what do you do? Like, if I have no idea, so we just keep going, just keep going and keep going and keep going.
Wandering around the world.
Yeah.
Do we have choices, or are we just puppets on a string, following this deadly familiar path? Will we ever get answers, or will the story end the same as before? Is there any reason we can't be sure? We rely, but does the government supply? They just deny and continue to imply, while people still cry, kissing loved ones goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Will they ever justify? Stop the lying, continuously denying, which just not buying, 'cause people are still dying. We rely, but does the government supply? They just deny and continue to imply, while people still cry, kissing loved ones goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Will they ever justify?